Hey everyone, welcome to a little special video I've put together. So right now I'm currently working on trying to get a 2-all in Dodonpachi. And so rather than just waiting for me to get the 2-all in 3 months from now and showing you one video, I decided it'd be more fun if I kind of showed my progress towards that goal. So what I have right here are 3 1-all replays that are recorded last night while practicing. At this point in my stage of getting the 2-all, I'm kind of just trying to really sharpen up my first 1-all, my first loop, and then I'll start to focus on the second loop and, getting through that. As you'll notice, the video started 30 seconds in, halfway through the first stage. That was just due to a video encoding error where it kept crashing if I tried to do it for some reason, so I cut out the first 30 seconds to get the video to run. Not much happens in the first 30 seconds anyway, so. As you can see, at this point the run has been pretty uniform, except on the third run I decided to try and melt for points, and that did not go well at all whatsoever. Kind of backfired. So each run was in chronological order, so the one on the left, the first run, was the first run of the night. The one in the middle, I would say, was the 4th run, and the one on the far right is about the 7th run. So my play does start to degrade and fluctuate between the different runs. For instance, you'll see in the second run, I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't care about getting the medals or points at all. I'm just blowing crap up as fast as possible. Whereas in the first and third run, I decided, okay, I need to try to at least get some medals to get some points and things like that. So if you're new to Dodonpachi, this is one of my favorite shmups of all time. I think if you're a beginner, this is a great place to start with shmups. I think not only is it really fun and accessible, but it also kind of teaches you a lot of fundamentals that you'll learn and use throughout the rest of your shmup career. So if any of you have ever seen my really old 1-all video from about a year and a half ago, it's my first 1-all of the game. I ended up bombing this tank you see on the far right because I wasn't quite, skilled enough to kill it consistently, but these days I just go without the bomb. This section also used to give me a lot of trouble. Really, the trick here is simply killing the enemies as fast as possible, obviously, but also moving up and kind of back and forth in a U-shaped pattern. That really helps kind of control the boss, or control the enemy patterns and get you through that section safely. So, I like and dislike this boss. The first half of the boss fight I really enjoy, but the second half, the part you'll see in the middle right now where it starts shooting those tank shots, I find really tedious and boring. And so sometimes, just for consistency and just to save myself some headache, I'll just blow it up with the bomb before it even gets to that. Obviously, I'm going to get less points by doing that, but like at this stage, I'm not worrying too much about points and simply kind of playing for a combination of survival, but also enough scoring strategies to get as many extends as possible. So the start of stage 3, I think, is when Dodonpachi really starts to get, I guess, more challenging for newer players. Especially this early section with the red ships you just saw on the far right. If you're not careful in manipulating where those bolts are going, you're going to get pinned down in the corner. You can see in the middle I'm doing it again. Yeah, the trick is to move upwards in the screen to get them to shoot upwards, and then you pull back and weave your way through. So if you turn your attention to the middle screen, I'm about to come across a boss right here, mini boss right here that shoots these purple bolts. These bolts are randomized, but if you line yourself directly up with them, that's usually your best chance of making the dodge on reaction. And then this next section you see on the right with the big blue ships, that's a very easy section. And this comes into one of the most difficult parts of this level, which are these needles and big ships. And so the general strategy for this is to quick kill the needlers as soon as they show up, and then disarm the big ships without killing them. See how on the far right the ship is disarmed? And then what you can do is, when you're getting in trouble by the needles, you blow up the big ship to cancel the needles, and then finish off the ships that shoot them. This is kind of a good lesson in learning how to use bullet canceling enemies and things like that. That way you're not wasting bombs in this section too much. If you look on the far left, the section here with the blue bullets and those incoming ships, what you need to do there is you need to realize that those ships that are rushing you have a vulnerability at a certain angle. Look here, look in the middle screen, see if you move up. If you get them in about a 45-degree angle, they can't hit you with a bullet, but you can kill them with the aura around your ship. And in case you've never played Dodonpachi before, while you're lasering, there actually is an aura around your ship that destroys and damages small enemies. It'll damage bigger enemies, but if you're not careful and you run into them, you'll explode, obviously. Then here, if you don't know, in the middle, if you blow up all those orange things on the side, you'll actually unlock a secret life, which is hugely helpful. So now we have the third boss of the game. I think one of my favorites early on. I think it's become less of my favorite as I've played this game more and improved, but I think this boss really teaches you a ton about kind of manipulating larger bullet patterns. And I think it's a great boss for beginners to fight and learn to understand certain patterns. Like, see the middle one? Or the far right one where it's shooting these blue ones? The trick to beating that pattern is simply moving forward, which causes the bullet pattern to widen, and then you move back with the bullet pattern. Once you start to understand that concept, really the boss fight becomes pretty easy. The hardest pattern, I think, is just the one where it shoots like the blue bullet gates, because sometimes you can get yourself in some awkward situations and you may need to bomb yourself out. Like, watch. If I'm not reading the pattern quickly enough, like right here, yeah, I didn't want to risk it, so I just bombed. So if you turn your attention to the far left, this is stage 4, what used to be one of my least favorite stages, but it's really grown on me. This stage has a lot of sections where you kind of need to know the route ahead of time, where if you improvise, you'll just get yourself put into a corner, like here with the ships. Once you figure out in what order to blow up the enemies, defeating those ship patterns is pretty easy. Then here's the hidden tank. You can actually just skip that tank altogether if you feel like. Sometimes I used to do that, but these days I just blow it up, it's easier. So if you look to the far right, here comes the second hidden tank, which is a lot more tricky to get rid of. I don't like to bomb in this section, so what I'll do is just pull back from the middle and then move up to kind of manipulate the incoming bullet patterns to get around. So if you're looking at the left one now, this section of the level looks really intimidating for newer players, but if you understand that these pink bullets that are flying everywhere are really slow and not very well aimed, it's actually really easy to get around them. Really the most dangerous thing about them is if you just forget they're there and fly into them. And then on the far left, this part of the stage is always the hardest for me. I almost always bomb there because I find myself getting pinned. So I think if I practiced that one portion, I wouldn't have to bomb as much, but oh, I lost my first life from the far left. I think I was honestly distracted by something. Because you could see I needed to bomb and I just didn't. I think something had distracted me while I was playing. So here we come to the section, look in the middle, see I bomb. And then you can simply pretty much laser the rest of it. Just make sure to get the incoming tank right here. Move up and around. If you look at the left and the right, I'm fighting the 4th boss. So there's a glitch I'm going to try and activate. In none of these runs am I successful, but in some of my other runs I was. And I think there's various reasons why I wasn't successful. On the left one, I believe I just end up not doing enough damage to activate the glitch. See, I just didn't have enough damage beforehand. On the third one, I just over-damaged him carelessly, so that's pretty obvious why I missed it. And then in the middle one, I can't quite remember why I missed the glitch. So let's look. You want to get his health bar right behind the H. Oh, I overkilled him again. But you have to be careful, because if you go too far, obviously you break his armor and you cannot do the glitch anymore. So, in none of those was I successful. I think I died in the middle one, yeah, because I was so mad. I wasn't even thinking about the patterns or anything. I was just thinking about how I messed up the glitch for the 2nd time. And the 3rd one I kind of accepted it, so. Right now, so far, if I look at the runs, I'm doing the best in the 3rd score-wise. In the 1st, I have an extra bomb, and I'm doing the crappiest in the... Oh no, I'm doing really good in the middle one. And realized I hadn't died up to that point. So if you turn attention to the rightmost replay, this section of the level is really fun to play because, at least the way I played, I don't have any exact planned out route. I kind of freestyle. Okay, I turned to the left one because I don't bomb in the left one as much. Oh, never mind, I do. So maybe it's the middle one where I get through without bombing. I just kind of like to herd the bullets, then double back through them. Nope, I bomb in all of them. So if you look at the leftmost replay here, this section right here, I on a few occasions get through it without bombing, but I usually find myself getting pinned into a corner and just having to bomb out. And then this, on the far left, is the worst section of the level by far. Because of these ships, these like UFO style ships that bombers shoot, what you have to do is you have to get them at this exact angle. And if you get them at that angle, you can get through their bullets pretty safely. But if you're any other angle, it's just a wall of bullets and you'll die. And they track you. So there's always a lot of bombing going on in this section for me. I get them at the angle on the far left and I can just go around it. So the trick here, I'm out of position. So once you get to this section on the far right with all the tanks and everything, you want to kind of actually stay at the bottom middle of the screen. And that's the safest area, and you can usually kill all the enemies without needing to bomb, but I played it safe and bombed anyway. The thing about Dodonpachi compared to its sequel DOJ is that Dodonpachi you get a lot of bombs, so sometimes I get a little trigger happy with them. But personally, I always feel like it's better to bomb in very, very dangerous scenarios than it is to get killed and have all your bombs still. But obviously if you're just bombing all day, that's really bad for your score and for your bomb count, so it's a really fine line that you kind of have to learn to ride. And then there's certain sections where I just bomb all the time, no matter what, just to make it simple. There's an example of that coming up right here. So on the third screen, this boss right here has all kinds of dumb tricks you can do to it. The first is just going up and dodging that bullet pattern. Watching the third screen I think is a fantastic fight, I'm pretty sure. Because I just have the one bomb, so I have to execute perfectly. So you bomb, and then you get up in that cradle area right there, and you actually can stay in there completely safe as long as you just keep up. It's trickier than it looks. And then, before the third pass, you have to pull out, otherwise he'll move forward and kill you. And there you go. Took him out with just one bomb. So let's look. Entering stage 5, on all my runs I have almost the same amount of lives and bullets. But on the first screen I just died. I mess up in some dumb way in stage 5 in all of these. But I remember in the second run I'm coming into it with 3 lives and feeling pretty confident. And I remember I made some kind of mistake or something. So in case you aren't aware, Dodonpachi actually has a second loop that unlocks the final boss in the true ending. So you play through the game again, but on hard mode basically. But in order to access the second loop, there's these conditions you have to meet. The one that I've met a few times is just only dying twice, I think it is. And if you only die twice, then you access the second loop. The other conditions are scoring a 200-something sized combo, which I haven't done. Or collecting all the medals in 4 stages, which I haven't done. I'm thinking about going with the medal thing though. Or getting the high combo in the second level. I think there's an area where it's really easy to do that, so as I get better and improve my consistency, I'll look into 2 of those options. So this section of the level right here with the bees and everything on this 3rd screen is the funnest section of the level, I think, or one of them. I think overall stage 6 is just insanely fun to play and one of my favorite stages, though obviously very nerve-wracking because it's the end of the run. But I like stage 6 in Dodonpachi more than stage 5 in DOJ. The only thing I would complain about this stage is I don't like the background color because the bullets blend into it too much. I wish they had gone with a different color scheme, maybe green instead of, you know, purple and orange. So I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like there are certain sections of Dodonpachi that kind of do a bit of a shout out to Battle Garega. You know, the first mini boss looks like Blackheart, and then these red ships you see in the middle, there's one. Something about them kind of reminds me of Battle Garega for some reason, the way they designed. So here we go with the final boss fight. This first pattern, I think I get them all except in one. This first pattern is pretty easy. If you just know how to manipulate it, you can always get through it. The second pattern I hate. I usually just bomb at one point. I kind of stall it out, put myself in a corner, then bomb. Which I don't think is terrible. Obviously, if you could beat this section without bombing, that would be ideal, but... And then this third pattern is just really fun to dodge, and I usually try to dodge it without bombing. Made it on the first. Yeah, and the second you see I came into the boss doing really well, but I missed that really easy dodge, and that threw me off, and I was kind of like mad. So I think I played pretty recklessly throughout the rest of the boss fight, and just barely cleaned it out. And so this third one where he shoots the blue bullets in the pink, I do know how to dodge that a little bit, but it's pretty challenging, so I usually just close them out by bombing. No need to risk, you know, losing the whole run. As I improve though, I might end up trying to dodge more of it. So there we are. 3 1-alls of Dodonpachi. I'm not used to commentating shmups, so excuse me if this is kind of crappy commentary, but I'm hoping on improving. Anyway, nothing too special about these runs. It's just kind of a document of where I'm beginning, and hopefully as I move forward, I'll be able to, you know, get that 2-all I'm going for. So, thanks so much for watching. I don't have anything else to say other than the English at the end of the game is hilarious, and you should definitely read it. That's actually why I play the international version rather than Japanese, because I think the dialogue's too funny to miss. So that's it. And thanks again for watching.